Okay, this is the second part of the understanding speed video. So I'm picking up with where I left off from part one. We were given the speed is 3,200 feet per hour. We already determined that that speed is 0.6 miles per hour. Now we're going to determine the speed in feet per second. So let's look at how it would be different to determine feet per second. So again, we're starting with 3,200 feet per 1 hour. We need to come up with a conversion factor that we can multiply by that will give us a final answer in feet per second. We already have feet on top, so there's nothing we need to do to change the units of the numerator. The units of the denominator changed. We want seconds on bottom, which means we're canceling hours. Since hours started on the bottom, it needs to be on the top so that it cancels out. Now we need to think of what is the equivalency between seconds and hours. Do you know how many seconds there are in an hour? You may not. You may only know that there are 60 seconds in 1 minute. And then we know there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. So we may need to go back and have two separate conversion factors. One that gets me from hours to minutes and another one that gets me from minutes to seconds. Or you may be able to determine that there are, since there's 60 seconds in every minute and 60 minutes in 1 hour, 60 times 60 is 3,600. That would make 3,600 seconds in an hour. Let's look at it both ways. So if I knew that there were 3,200 feet per 1 hour, I could start off by canceling hours and going to minutes, knowing that there's 60 minutes in 1 hour. Then I could cancel minutes. If it's on the bottom, it has to be on the top. Going to seconds, knowing that there's 60 seconds in 1 minute. Now when I do my math, I will have feet on top and seconds on bottom. Hours canceled because there was one on top and bottom. Minutes cancels because there's one on top and bottom. Now all I have to do is the computation. On the top, I have 3,200 times 1, which is 3,200 feet. On the bottom, I have 1 times 60 times 60, which is 3,600 seconds. Still don't have my answer in feet per 1 second. So I need to divide 3,200 divided by 3,600. That is 0 because 3,600 is bigger. Let's divide 32,000 divided by 3,600. It goes 8 times. 8 times 3,600 is 28,800. Subtract, and I'm left with 3,200. Add a 0 and bring it down. And I get 32,000 again. So I'm going to get this repeating decimal. 0.8 repeating. So if I go back up and I look, it says, what is the speed in feet per second? If we rounded to the nearest tenths place, that would be 0.9 feet per 1 second. If we round it to the nearest whole, that would be about a foot per second. All right, we're going to do one more example. Melissa walked at a rate of 128 feet per minute. So there's my starting speed that I'm going to write as a fraction, 128 feet per 1 minute. And then I'm going to come down, I'm going to leave room for my conversion. I want my final answer to be her approximate speed to the nearest tenth of a mile per hour. So I want miles on top and hours on bottom. This is the most challenging problem you'll see, because if you look, we're going from feet on top to miles. So the top changes. So to change the top, we have to multiply by something that has miles on top and feet on bottom. Why does feet need to be on the bottom? Because if feet starts off on the top, the only way to cancel it is to put it on the bottom. What's the equivalency between feet and miles? There's 5,280 feet in 1 mile. So that cancels out feet and leaves me with miles on top. Well, let's look at the denominator. When we look at the denominator, we see that we're going from minutes, and then over here, it's different, it's hours. So we have to multiply by something to deal with that too. So we're going to add another conversion factor. We want hours on the bottom because that's what our answer has, hours on the bottom. And we want minutes on the top because that's going to cancel the minutes that were on the bottom to start with. How many minutes in an hour? 60 minutes is equal to 1 hour. Now we have it set up so we have hours on the bottom. So the only thing not crossed out now with units, miles on the top, hours on the bottom, everything else canceled. So when I do the computation, I'll be left with the number of miles and the number of hours. So let's do the math. We've got 128 times 1 times 60. 128 times 60 is 7,680. And then on the bottom, we have 1 times 5,280 times 1, which is 5,280. So now this turns into a division problem, so we can get per 1 hour here. So 7,680 divided by 5,280 is 1 point. So when we multiply, we get 5,280, subtract, we get 2,400. We can bring down another 0 to keep dividing, and we get 4. And 5,280 times 4 is 21,120. Subtract, we get 2,880. I'm going to divide one more time. 5,280 times 5. If we multiply 5,280 times 5, we get 26,400. And when we subtract, we get 2,400. We could stop there because if we're looking for her approximate speed in the nearest tenth of a mile, so all I had to do was divide to the hundredths, because again, if we're going to the nearest tenth, we have to look to the right. 5 or more means this number is going to go up. So it would be approximately 1.5 miles per hour. Thank you.